Blog Talk Radio.
Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Hello, 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 everyone, and welcome to the Money and More Network. We're here talking to you about your money, your taxes, and all the other things that go along with it. Successes and joys and income and expenses and all those other words that we can keep going on and on and on about. My name is Wendy Cassera, and I am your hostess. I am the owner of Taxpectations, where we do everything from daily and monthly bookkeeping to high-end accounting and all things taxes. It's the middle of tax season. We are going to do taxes again today, talk about some of the tax laws, tax changes, tax announcements, and tax, everything. Quote of the day. We've got to have our quote. I saw this while I was looking through some other things, and I really liked it, so I kept it. The quote is from Nito QBN. I probably didn't pronounce that right, but the quote says, "Your present circumstances don't determine where you go. They merely determine where you start." And I like that because, we all know today is the first day of the rest of your life. Happiness is a direction, not a place. My words of wisdom for the day. How's that? Taxpectations, you can find us here and there and everywhere. Twitter, LinkedIn, webpage, here on the radio, Blog Talk Radio. I do this show on Saturdays, but it is available 24/7, 365. You can always go back and listen to old shows and learn lots of things. And as a lot of you are aware, I have some forms on my website that you can go and download and use in your money day in your business. Also, you can sign up for our newsletters, which have been once a month and are going to be moving up to every couple of weeks because there's lots of things to know about tax season. There were actually twice this week, I got announcements from the IRS on some things that are going on that are not quite as happy as we would like them to be. There's a new phishing scheme. I always like that. I don't get that word, though. The new phishing scheme, which is receiving emails and or phone calls from the IRS asking for your personal information. They ask for Social Security number or tax ID number. Some are even stating that you owe money. They'll call you on the phone and say that your tax return was wrong last year and you owe some money, or there was an error and they need to verify your bank information. Keep in mind, people, the IRS will never ask you for personal information over the phone or on the internet. They most often do not do or email you. So if you get something from the IRS, do know that it isn't, and hang up the phone. If you're really, really unsure, you're really nervous because, oh my God, they sounded so real, call the IRS back up on their line and find out for sure. They'll tell you if somebody called you. Do not give out your personal information, especially Social Security numbers, tax ID numbers, and bank information, to someone unsolicited. And that goes for credit cards. That goes for anything. If you're ever unsure of who's calling you, your credit card company calling you, hang up the phone and call them back. Use the number on your statement or on their website and call them back and make sure it's them. Better that than identity theft, which is becoming a major, major issue all across the board, everywhere. Everywhere you go, you have credit card companies and shopping companies complaining that their data has been breached. Even the state agencies and federal agencies are having comments about the agencies being breached and your information may be given up. So please be careful who you talk to if you're a victim of identity theft as far as your tax return is concerned. And what will happen is you go to get your tax return filed and your preparer tells you that it was not accepted by the IRS because the IRS says they've already received one from you. In that case, there's a big, long list of things that you have to go through, and it takes a while to get that all straightened out. But they will give you a tax ID PIN number that you give to your tax preparer in the following years to make sure that you are who you say you are and no one else should file a tax return under your name. So keep that handy. Also, another thing that the IRS is warning of is inflated refund claims. If you go to a tax repair and they say they can get you thousands of dollars, and that is not usually something that happens, be wary of that. They may be filing your tax return incorrectly, and in the bottom line is that you are responsible for your tax return, and you're the one that has to pay the price, the penalties, the fees, et cetera, when your tax return is done incorrectly. So be careful, be wary of that. And in the effort to help remedy that, the IRS has posted on their website tax preparers that they have tested or have certain qualifications to prepare your tax returns. If you're unsure, look up in the name of your town, the name of your tax preparer, and make sure that they're listed on that site. Then you know that they're up on their current tax law and are vetted by the IRS and okay to prepare tax returns. The other thing I noticed, I was driving down the road the other day, and I saw these flashing lights in the distance, and I looked over, and there was a business, and it was a tax preparer's business, and across the glass in big letters was, "We guarantee your tax return." And I have had a couple calls from people asking me if I will guarantee that they won't get audited, or if I will guarantee that their tax return is 100% correct according to the IRS, and that it will be accepted and there will never be any problems and they'll never get audited and da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da. There's not a person on the planet that can guarantee a tax return, people. The bottom line is that as much as persons like myself go through, do a lot of education, doing the best we can, we get the best top-of-the-line software, we do all those things. Audits happen at random. No one can guarantee that you won't be audited. It just cannot happen. You get the right preparer like myself, however, and I will guarantee that if you do get audited, I will stand by your side and prove that the tax return I prepared was as correct as I could possibly make it, and help you through the audit. But no one should ever promise you or guarantee that you won't get it audited, because that just isn't so, not possible. So just be careful of, sensational claims that happen when you go to get your taxes prepared, and be careful of who you are talking to on the phone and the email. If you do get your tax return done and you owe taxes, keep in mind that you have the IRS Direct Pay site, which doesn't cost anything to pay your taxes on, and makes it much easier. So take advantage of that when you can. Also, if you're getting a refund, make sure that you, if at all possible, you use the availability of direct deposit for refunds. You will get your refund quicker, it goes directly into your bank account, saves you a lot of time, trouble, and hassle, and the waiting for the check to be in the mail. Takes weeks longer if you receive a check. So sign up for a direct deposit, give your tax preparer your routing number and account number, and they will prepare your taxes and get it direct deposited for you. Also, another announcement that came out of Washington, D.C. this week, 800,000 taxpayers received wrong tax information from the health insurance marketplace. The article goes on to talk about that the healthcare.gov sent the wrong information on Form 1095A, and people are being urged to wait to file their tax returns until they receive the correct information from the government. About 20% of the tax filers who had the federally facilitated marketplace coverage in 2014 will soon receive an updated 1095A, because the original version they were issued listed an incorrect benchmark plan premium amount. And the article goes on and on. Yeah, the information that you received was probably incorrect if you use the marketplace for your insurance. If you are uncertain whether or not you were affected, and with 800,000 people affected, I would imagine that, there's going to be some people listening to this show that were affected. If you are not sure, you can call and the healthcare marketplace. The best thing to do is to log in to your account on healthcare.gov. There should be a notice message saying whether or not their form was or was not affected. You will be receiving, those that were affected will be receiving a phone call about the problem from the marketplace sometime in March, and in addition to that, letters and emails with information about what they need to do. Just if you are using the marketplace for your health insurance, just go online and check it before you file your tax return. And if you have already filed your tax return, go on, find out if yours was affected. And if it was, understand that you do need to file an amended return. So go back, get it redone, check with healthcare.gov to see if your stuff was affected. One of the things we're going to talk about, I'm going to give spend a little bit of time now on capital gains and losses. This is often a question that gets asked during the tax time. People purchase things or they sell things, and what is affected, what isn't. And as well, we're going to tag team that with the net investment income tax, because it is determined based on your capital gains. So basically, when you sell a capital asset, the sale results in a capital gain or loss. Capital assets include property such as your home, a car, investment property, stocks, bonds, etc. Investment property, yes, are some of those houses that you don't live in that you rent out. That's an investment property. A loss, a gain or loss, is the difference between your basis and the amount when you sell the asset. The basis is usually what you paid for the asset, or if it was given to you via inheritance or something else, it could be the fair market value. There's several things that make that determination. So that is what the basis is, and the gain or loss is the difference between that basis and how much money you received when you actually sell it. You must include all capital gains on your income, and you may be subjected to the net investment income tax. This tax applies to net investment income of individuals, estates, and trusts that have income above threshold amounts. The rate of this tax is 3.8%, so it's above the regular capital gains rates, which the capital gains tax rate usually depends upon your income. The maximum capital gain tax rate is 20%. However, for most taxpayer, it's usually up to 15%. 25 or 28% tax rate applies to certain net capital gains, which is part of what the net investment income tax add-on does for you. Net investment income doesn't include things like wages, unemployment, Social Security, alimony, self-employment income, those kind of things. Those are not things that we're talking about as far as net investment income. Mostly we're talking about these capital assets. Losses. You can deduct capital losses on the sale of the investment property, providing the basis is higher than what you actually sold it for. One of the other determinations that are made during the process of determining capital gains and losses is the length, how long you held the property. It's either long-term or short-term. If you held the property for more than 1 year, your gain or loss is considered long-term, and if you held it for less than a year, then it is considered short-term. If your capital losses are more than your capital gains, you can deduct the difference as a loss on your tax return. However, the loss is limited to $3,000 per year or $1,500 if you're married and file a separate return. If your loss is more than the limit you can deduct, you can carry over the losses to next year's return. And those would be treated just like the losses happened in that year. When you go to get your tax return filed, you go to your tax preparer, they are going to have an additional form that they need to fill out for these capital gains and losses. And during that time, they will tell you what your tax rate is and also whether you qualify for the net investment income tax, so that increase, that additional 3.8%, will go against whatever it is that you did on your your losses, your gains and losses. So I thought I would share a little bit of that information from you. I know that, you know, all of this tax jargon just, makes your head pop off your shoulders, spin around 360 times, land back on, and hope it's on straight. Um, also, I do get. Last week we talked about some of the things that you need. I talked about a checklist that I have of things that you can prepare and bring to your tax advisor, to your tax preparer, excuse me. And keep in mind that there is a business deductions worksheet on my website, which is www.taxpectations.com, where we understand that all roads lead to taxes. Because you know what? Literally, what is it? What's the old saying? There are two things that are certain in life: death and taxes. And taxes happen a lot more often. Death is the final thing. It only happens once. Well, for most people, anyways. So we attempt to do as much as we can and get lower your tax liability as much as possible when preparing a tax return. And remember, if you're uncertain, there are tax return preparers. I'm one of them that will review your tax return to make sure that it was done right, make sure that you didn't miss any credits or deductions that you should have been able to take, so that you can get a bigger refund or lower your tax base, whichever the case may be. We always strive to do our best when it comes to that sort of thing. But do keep in mind what we talked about at the beginning of the show. There aren't guarantees about anything. If I know that a lot of preparers like myself, we are human beings, and there's an occasional typo or a human mistake. And I know that myself included with several others of them, will pay your penalties and interest if we discover that the error was our error. But because the IRS disallows an expense that otherwise might have been taken, or some other thing occurs, that does not make it a human error. That just is because of circumstances surrounding your return. And we always talk about that before when we did the Circular 230 disclaimer. We did the particular facts and circumstances. And, whenever I'm sitting and talking to somebody and going over what do we need, what do they have, and all that stuff, I use the same term that the IRS uses, which is reasonable and customary. Okay? Gentleman's brand new, going into sales this year. He's going to be commission only. And he needed to know exactly what the laws were concerning, the wining and dining and schmoozing of clients. Is what salespeople generally do in some form or fashion. And that was the term I gave him. As long as it's reasonable, it's a tax deduction. There are things you have to do. It's the same as advertising and promotion. When you're out there giving away your product so that somebody will try it or use it and see if they like it, so that you can get them to buy more or recommend it or whatever else it is, those are promotional expenses. And yes, they are tax deductible on your tax return. There are a lot of things. We went through the list very quickly. I believe it was last week or the week before. Again, if you're unsure, please give me a call. You can call me. You can go on my website. You can email me at wendy@taxpectations.com, and I'll be happy to help you. We do consultations for free. We're doing more phone consultations and in-person consultations these days because we're getting busy and can't go see everyone every minute of every day, though I love it. So if you have some questions and you need to know whether or not what you have is tax deductible, contact your tax preparer. And gleefully, I would like to be that person that you call on the phone, that person that says, I can help you. I can help you save money on your tax return. I can help you get more bang for your buck. I can help you make sure that all the deductions that you are eligible for you get, and the same can be said with the credits that you're allowed. And keep in mind, when you're going to your tax professional, you're asking them how big a refund you're going to get. The very meaning of refund, you have to put money in the system to get money back. If you have not made estimated tax payments or have not paid in federal Social Security, Medicare taxes, If you have not paid into the system, you cannot get a refund. No matter how many credits you get or how many children you have to pay in to get back. Um, yes, I'm on my high horse. One of those stools, very tall perches. I do understand the frustration from people who are business owners or independent contractors who go to get credits and their tax return turns out to be zero. You know, it's nice if you don't owe any taxes, but a lot of people want to get a refund, and you can't get a refund unless you put money in. That's just the way it works. So we are the Money and More Show. If you have any other tax questions, any issues, any bookkeeping needs, give us a call. We do monthly bookkeeping for small to medium-sized businesses. Reconcile your bank account, your credit cards, make sure they're all in the right accounts, and you have a profit and loss available for you every single month so that if you decide to do any financing or you just want to know how your business is doing, taking that awesome report and using it as a tool to grow your business and make more money because it allows you to know where you are. And knowing is half the battle in anything. And, you know, I used one of my quotes. Happiness is a direction, not a place. So we're going to use a little direction.
It might seem crazy what I'm about to say. Sunshine, she's here. You can take a break. I'm a hot air balloon that could go to space with the air like I don't care, baby. By the way, because I'm happy. Clap along if you feel like a room without a roof. Because I'm happy. Clap along if you.
Wow, I hope that wasn't as choppy for you as it was for me. And if it was, I apologize. Something going on, a little bitty glitches. Could be the weather. Everything's about the weather these days, don't you think? Kind of odd. It was cold here. You know, yesterday it was down to teens. That just does not happen in Myrtle Beach. Anyhow, I hope that you have a wonderful day, evening, afternoon, morning, week, weekend, and all those other good things too. Remember, it's tax season. Call in and get your taxes done early. Remember, I'm still having a special, people. You get me your tax paperwork done by the end of the month. Mention this show or my website, and you get 10% off your tax return. Get it done, get your paperwork in, pay for it, and 10% off your tax return for the month of February. Thank you very much. Have a wonderful day. Enjoy your day. Enjoy your family. Enjoy life. And just be happy. Talk to you next week. Thank you. Bye-bye.